Ladies and gentlemen,
Good evening, everyone. It's Friday night BHN show. Woohoo! Hope you're all doing well. Magenta, how you doing?
Not too bad, actually. I got a couple of sleep-ins this week, so
Nice.
yay for getting to sleep. It's been a very busy last few months, so I'm feeling a bit
love
more
to see it.
rested, which we love.
Nice. Did you get up to anything exciting?
I mean, I did maybe make some little Christmas gifts for a specific event that's coming up soon.
Ooh.
Yeah, I may or may not have just something a little secret going on.
Ooh.
Yeah, teaser. But
Nice.
no, other than being on Te Ao with Moana, that was a little bit of a
Yes,
highlight
I
for my
heard
week.
that. But I couldn't find anything. Are you able to share, or
I've
is
got
it?
that episode. Yeah, I mean, I can show you.
I think I looked for
I
it and I
can
was
sh-
like, oh man, I
It's
can't see it.
it's on Whakaata Māori, so anyone can go watch it. This is the episode 34, and I'll just play a quick little bit if you guys want to see.
what are you here today?
Obviously needing to protest against all
Ooh,
the
look at
purity
you.
that's going on inside there. Obviously just need to show up and tell them to get lost, because it's just ridiculous the way that they're continuing to attack us. Like, the amount of times I've had to bring this flag out, like, I'm getting my money's worth, but the amount of times I've had to come out is getting ridiculous. Yeah, so we had Moana
How cool.
obviously on BHN, and now technically a little bit of BHN has been on Moana. Obviously not like a big story, but who knows? Maybe
Should
one
have been wearing
day.
your BHN merch. I see you a
Oh,
tee
I
that you
only
can
had
wear.
a hoodie.
I know, it was too hot for a
had it
hoodie
in my
that day.
bag. It was in my bag, and I was not wearing it.
You should have wrapped around your waist and had like the BHN just like hanging
It's
on the bag.
hot. I'm hot. I'm a hot bitch, okay? I get really, really
That's fair.
sweaty. I had a
That's fair.
fan with me the whole time, actually.
Yeah, it did look like it was a pretty hot day for it.
Yeah,
Good
it
day
was
for
a
it,
good
which is
day. It
great.
was a good day. But yeah, so I actually found out about that through Blue Sky. So someone
nice.
let me know, and I thought, oh, nice. Very fun.
Oh, it's good on them. Yeah. How's everyone feeling about the week? How did we feel about the news I feel like the news this week was tame, you know? Like it was.
I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of random different things happening.
Yeah, there wasn't like an Andrew Bailey saga, or there wasn't like.
Well,
you know,
actually,
Tiriti.
technically, there was
He
some
did.
photos of Andrew
did.
Bailey. So
That's
he
right.
was.
He did
the
come
same
back, but it wasn't like
bullshit, yeah.
he didn't occupy the whole week. I suppose David Seymour was
No.
the thread of the week, but I mean he's the thread of every bloody week at the moment.
Unfortunately.
So someone mentioned the Labour conference. Yes, but I haven't seen any coverage on it, so I'd be
Neither
quite
have I. I would like to,
interested.
but
It
I was
was
too busy
this.
today.
I'm not sure what day that was this week. It was here in Christchurch, wasn't
Today,
it?
I believe. Wasn't it today? First day was
No.
today? I think someone
Well,
was.
there you go.
Someone said something in the Discord about first day. So gonna assume it was today, but
North.
I'm sure we'll hear more about it soon.
Speaking of, someone just mentioned in the chat, and I have been prompted to make sure that this has gets a mention this evening. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bam! Merch drop.
Hey!
This is your final day to get your merch if you want it ordered and delivered for Christmas. Oh, there you go. There's an example of what you could get. This is the new merch. We got Fufu Chewy. The bright orange or
I love that colour so
or the
much.
sage green. The Nikki No boats. The buffer gear, which is the Rangatiratanga version, I guess.
Yeah, I love
it,
that.
the
So
version.
good. The green.
I'm a big fan of the pink.
Of,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
green
that
of the
makes
pink.
sense. I mean, it also makes sense. I'm a fan of the green. But
Mimi Batchy. And then there's the BHN. What did they call them?
buddy, was it buddies or
Chibs?
Ch-
Chubs? Something? Chumps.
Chums.
Chumps?
Yes. Chums.
One of those.
Yes, no. I'm excited for the rust colored one, I reckon. It's gonna be
This red one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
It's a
vibe.
good colour.
Yeah, so it's your last evening. It's I think Pat said he's gonna close off the store at midnight tonight. So you won't be able to order anything. But yes, please order. Please support. Also, good point made by one of the boys last night. The buffer gear would be great for Waitangi weekend coming up in February.
Very
And
good.
I don't think the guys will be back in time to get that out to you over the summer. So if you're thinking of wearing something like that to any Waitangi, because I imagine there'll be some sort of something going on this Waitangi, considering what we've had in the last at least 6 months.
And
man,
not
can you
even just
believe that-
Waitangi. They'll probably
I
do
know.
some bullshit.
Can you believe that like last Waitangi was such a big event because of, you know, what the coalition were proposing? And then we've just had the Hikoi, and like Waitangi seems like it's just around the corner, and we can expect
Yeah.
that to be just as big of an event to protest what they want to do. So yeah, if you want to be, if you want to have some gear for that, get that in tonight if you haven't already.
Yeah. Especially the buffer
And,
gear, because like
Yes,
I want to
especially
wear the buffer gear, and I'm Maori, so like
It's cool. All right, shall we do a quick recap of what happened this week?
yeah. What's been going on with our boys this week?
Well, what have we got? Obviously, in my opinion, the biggest guest of the week was John Toogood, which was such a cool thing to see.
That
especially
was
when he
cool.
especially when he said he was 16 when they started She Had, and he said he was 53 now or 54. That's a crazy career to be with one band. I can barely stay in a job for 2 years. I mean, let alone a band for what, 30 or more?
Yeah. No,
Absolutely
and I mean,
nuts.
even just the thought of, you know, being able to do something you like with your mates from school for that long is like really cool.
And I'm not sure if there's any drama that, I mean, not that I've heard of or anything, but I'm sure there always is with like dealing with people for that long, but no, like She Had.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been told she had.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty cool. And I loved, I think everyone in the chat, or everyone who watched it, appreciated the Chewy fangirling, like just trying to hold it in and be like, this is cool.
Oh, that was
cool.
so adorable. And it was just cool to see them kind of have just a good time, like chatting with, you know, someone that Chewy looks up to.
The more coolly, I was gonna say more awesomely, was actually his views around sort of politics and activism and things. Obviously through music, it's quite common. Yeah, just really, really smart and insightful. I mean, I didn't expect anything less, but like it's just very smart and insightful. And I don't know, it's nice to. I think all guests, was it 3 guests this week? Nice smart people, not nice smart people, but you know what I mean. Like just well thought out, sort of nice.
Good energies, good vibes.
Good-hearted people. It was great. Speaking of other guests, Dr. Jeremy Walker joined in on Monday from Sydney, I think it was, talking all about the Atlas Network, in which I relayed it back to my partner and be like, hey, imagine this. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but imagine that it's real. So this is like if you missed the chat on Monday, or if you missed sort of as far as I understand Atlas, it's a bunch of really small groups that have been instigated by a larger group, spreading a very particular message about how the world should work, pushing very Western colonial views to try and combat capitalism. It's all based on capitalism, let's be honest.
Capitalism. It's just right,
just trying to get their fingers in all the pies, and obviously Seymour's the current peddler of the Atlas agenda.
And I mean, with the Atlas Network stuff, I mean, I think one of the problems that I think I get a little bit worried about is that, like, I can understand how it comes across as very, like, there's all these rich people and they control the whole world and it's all this big conspiracy. But, like, I think the thing is that terrifyingly, this is more kind of what's actually going on, is that we have had people in places of power with money that have been able to do things that may not have even been giant or big, but have just shifted and moved things in places and in ways that suit them. And it's like, it's very easy to just kind of brush that off as a conspiracy theory or just some like kind of random bullshit. But it's because it's quite terrifying to think of the fact that you've kind of been violated. Like, you thought that you had all this autonomy in the world, and now you're learning that actually maybe you've been manipulated. Maybe things in our world have been manipulated. And that's kind of freaky to accept and deal with. So it's definitely a topic that, like, I'm glad to see there's more education actually coming out to kind of really talk about it and not just kind of say, Atlas Network, they control it all. Because then it starts to sound a little kooky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a comment there for a second, but it's just
the Atlas Network, they got you.
Yeah, they got in my brain. just like, no, none of that, please. Yeah. Fun times. Oh, what I was going to say was a lot of people who don't think they are. I think that's the issue, especially with. Then we're just completely tanging off. Just quickly, the whole thing with how Trump voters voted is they thought they were voting for themselves and thought they were voting for their best interests. And a lot of people, I would say, on the left tend to vote for the lowest, the person in the most vulnerable position that they are aware of or they can think of, and they try and, well, at least that's how I vote. I vote for, supporting the person who's at the bottom, not necessarily the person at the top. I think with the campaign with Trump is that he won because people wanted to see change, but didn't realize that change wasn't actually benefiting them. That was what they were told. Yeah. 100% that's not what they're going to get.
Yeah, change isn't always good change. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
hey, we've just got to keep talking about it and fighting it.
Always talking about it. That's right. Tiriti was debated. Well, not really debated. It was more of a conversation.
I feel like that was a real loose use of the word debate.
Yeah, debate. Even the one between Seymour. Tiriti with Jack Tame, which was David Seymour, one interview, and then another one with I put the last name. Debbie?
Sorry. Debbie. Oh, Ngawatlewa Wapaka.
Yes, it's Debbie, right? I didn't write the first name for some reason. Debbie.
Oh, no, Debbie.
I just can't.
Just call her Auntie Debs.
Names. Auntie Debs. Okay, I like that. And Auntie Debs. Very interesting interview. I had a lot of thoughts about it. There was a few moments that I was watching it and I was like biting my teeth, especially between Seymour, and I was like, come on, Jack, get your teeth out. I'm waiting for it. And then he'd go and I would just be like, yes, he was waiting for the moment. He took the shot. And then it would be like, that's it. That's all you, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to let him talk? And then he would be like, talk. I'm going to lead you into a hole. And then he's like, bang. And then that's kind of it. And I was like, oh, man, this sucks. Because if anyone was going to go up against him, it was him.
I did not enjoy that interview. I mean, the first half, I struggled to get through because I was like, cool, I'm just listening to the same talking points, the same racist talking points that I've heard since I was like 5 years old. And like, I'm 30. And I'm sure that these were already old when I was that age. So, like, how long have they just been saying the same shit? And, like,
Yeah.
the way Jack, I mean, he had some good moments where he came in, but, like, I'll be honest, I think Jack just disappointed me. Like, he didn't really seem to kind of pull up Seymour where he really should have. And, like, even with Debbie's interview, I felt like there were points that Debbie clearly needed help with to kind of bring out and actually discuss Atlas, discuss all these things like Matiki
Yeah.
Mai. But he
Yeah.
wasn't helping her there. But then there was also a couple of moments where it felt like he was really against her and kind of wasn't trying to even be neutral. He just felt like he was on the attack. Because like that point where he was like, oh, so have you gotten new members to the Māori party? Have people signed up? And he pushed on it so intensely when the thing, like the kaupapa was always clearly about getting numbers onto the like Māori electorate roll. It has never been about signing people up to Te Pāti Māori. It's always been about just getting Māori to vote and to actually think about and know and understand the Māori role. And so the way that he went in on that point just felt really gross and yuck to me. So I didn't like that personally.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing of like wanting to be center and neutral and sort of attack both sides equally, I get that idea. But yeah, some of those points I also think Auntie Debs, I don't think she was the right person to. It's sad to say, but she's not the right person to defend Te Tiriti. We are just not in that space. And the people that need convincing are not the people who are already on her side. I think that's the really
She needed
sad
maybe
reality
people
of
to
it.
help her. Yeah, like maybe if people helped her. Like I saw a really great post. I think it was actually even either the same day as that or the next day, from Carwyn Jones talking about, you know, actually, you know, the meat and potatoes of what all the issues are. So, like, yeah, it definitely felt like it was a bit of a shit move because she mentioned at the end, like, oh, we're going to start talking and educating people on all these points from here on in. But I think that was kind of a bad move. I think they should have started there in terms of educating, not just, like, they didn't have to go into a big, long lecture. But, you know, I think something would have been better than what we got because that was a bit of a shit show.
Yeah, no, I don't think it did. Well, I mean, it didn't do our side justice, but
I mean, you know,
we're a bit biased.
I mean, it wasn't great. I definitely think that like it's disappointing because, you know, when you've had such a strong kind of like the hikoi was so strong. And then to have that be your kind of next point, it felt like such a build up and climax and then that was very disappointing.
100%, because the news really has dropped off about it. So that really was sort of the last bit.
Yeah, I think she dropped the ball, unfortunately.
That's really sad. Yeah. So what else do we have this week? We had the whooping cough epidemic. Whooping cough is coming back through New Zealand. It tends to come and go, but still very scary stuff. Northern Emergency Doctor Gary Payenda was on the show, and he was great. I like him. He is a real advocate, and he does not care. Well, he does care. In his personal manner, he's not afraid to speak about the issues in the industry, in the sector, which is fantastic. And he had so many great points.
Yeah, no, and that was just so informative.
Yeah, I take the government for the BS. I'm sure, like when you're in that role, especially on the front line, you must get exhausted with the shit that comes through. Not only your job, which is tough, but the political stuff that comes with it has got to be exhausting.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, bloody Seymour was back thinking that he runs the show. Winston was not also not on Luxon's side, saying a few interesting things there. Not surprising that Seymour thinks he's in charge, and Luxon should be taking those comments very seriously because doesn't look good for him. Really doesn't.
I mean, I'll be honest. I only watched this clip today because I was a bit behind, but my my hats kind of went on a little bit and went, okay, this seems strange. It seems like he's purposely trying to position himself as like the ACT party are the party who are willing to, you know, stand up for the hard-hitting things that Kiwis want. And he's making Luxon look weak. And it feels like he's trying to actually maybe at least inch away at and kind of maybe make it so that next election, maybe ACT do start to come up. Maybe they start to become the more preferable, you know, right-leaning party. Well,
that's the idea, right? You want to take party votes from the other parties in government, right? Everyone does it.
And it feels like maybe that's what
Labour
he's
will
trying
fluctuate.
to do.
You know, the Greens base will always stay the Greens base. The ACT base will always stay the ACT base.
Yeah.
But obviously, they want to continue to grow, so...
And I mean, like, it seems like he's trying to sow seeds of doubt, you know, kind of trying to show how influential he is, you know, so then that way next election, maybe people go, well, you know, National weren't really that strong and ACT were the one that actually did everything. And who knows, he may even position it later on where he goes, you know, everything from that coalition that you really appreciated, that was us because we championed for you, the people. He's really positioning himself with like very... actually, funnily enough, I've got notes on it for a little just soon, but like right-wing grifting and that kind of playbook in terms of that. I was actually going through it, and Seymour's really ticking off a lot of boxes.
It's almost like he went to a school or a conference or like a program that taught him all of this stuff. Like he was fed it, or had these really interesting mentors that might have, you know,
with these
some
interesting
connections.
Degrees. Yeah, from interesting places in Canada.
Doesn't start with an A, does it? Arsehole? No, sorry.
Arsehole University? I can believe that.
Yes, that's the one. And then lastly from the news this week was the NZ Podcast Awards. Woo! Go fam!
Hell yeah!
Go fam! BHN coming away with 2 awards this time. Bronze in the Best Current Affairs Podcast and...
Silver?
I can't find it anyway. It doesn't matter because I know what it is.
People's Choice.
I can't even find it. Is it at the top?
Yeah, it's right here up the top. Silver People's Choice. There you go. But yes, we got...
Oh, it's literally in my notes. I just wanted to double check because it's not even on this list.
Yeah. You don't want to make false claims. We don't want to claim someone else.
So silver for People's Choice. So thanks, guys, because you can't get the People's Choice without the people choosing. So
I know, right? And I mean, like the one thing that really stood out to me was we came ahead of the morning shift, and they are very popular. Like, I was just shocked. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is very.
It's an honor to be sandwiched in between such awesome podcasts.
It is very much. So yeah, thanks, guys. I know the guys. Well, the boys put a lot of work into the show, so it's cool to see it, and thanks for everyone for voting. And 2 awards, how cool is that?
I know, right? And it's almost like, you know, like, okay, so clearly the show's getting big, right? So you know how people, when they're like, oh well, like I knew them back before they were mainstream. If you want to be able to prove that, you can get Beardy Boy merch. They'll be able to prove that you were an OG. So, like, just putting that out there before Pat gets super famous.
Yeah.
Internationally.
Just plugging that again. There are still some of those available.
Exactly.
Every 2 minutes. Speaking of stardom, I just want to say a quick hi to, I think it was, I want to say Chris, and I think the other person was Cameron. I could be wrong. Colleagues of my partner who found out that I am the pink-haired lady on the show. When he was like, oh, I need a better source of, like, I don't know, news, politics, history, just like general, like keeping up with stuff. And the guy's like, oh, well, like New Zealand based? He's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you should look at this show. It was BHN. They're like, he's like, oh yeah, I know the show. Like, oh, you already watch it? I'm like, no. He's like, no, my partner's on it. And they're like, wait, what? That's your partner? So yeah, he came back and told me that. So I was like,
that is adorable. I love that.
That's pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Starting to end that BHN merch running around the cities. We'll be able to point at you. I'm going to be the person that's like sees it, and I'm going to come up to you in a photo.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. It'll be like me seeing a BH thing, and it'll be like, "Can I get a photo with you?" And they'll be like,
Right.
"Oh, okay, sure."
Yes. Who are you? Why are you approaching me, strange human?
Unless they recognize me, but you got to tune in for the Friday show for that.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we do have audio listeners. So if our audio listeners
That's
don't know what we look
true.
like, they
That's
can always come
true.
and say hi.
It's true. So just for the audio listeners, it's bhnshop.nz.
Hey, always be plugging. All right.
Cool. All right. Great recap of the week. Anything you want to jump
Actually,
into?
there was a couple
we
of
do
things
that.
from the week. I did see a comment that I thought was very good. It was from Freestyle Steph, and it said, Seymour tells us you can't have a relationship where you respect the different needs and wishes of your partner. Hate to be in a relationship with Seymour, which I found funny. Yeah, it was just a comment that someone had made about, I think, comments he was making about co-governance and just him being a prick. But what I found really funny recently is he has a girlfriend.
He does, does he?
Actually has a girlfriend, which just
Fascinating.
shocked me. So yeah, there was some
Hey,
like
there's a
interesting.
someone for everyone, I guess.
Apparently, hopefully that gives people hope.
Yeah. Good point. Was there anything else on your list?
Actually, we can probably. Yeah, nah, we can skip that one for now. We'll head into.
Before we do that, I'm just going to do some super chats.
Yes.
There's a few there. Hi, Citizen Gold. Friday Fiver, thank you. Thanks for the fiver. Thanks for joining in. If I do that, we're all good. Yay! Another Friday Fiver heading your way. Thanks, Southern Moonlight. Appreciate your super chat. Who else we got? Mr. Arvids. I'm doing a Friday Tina instead this week. A big mihi to you both for joining the team. Love you, mahi e hoa. Thank you. Thanks for the $10. Appreciate it. And we got a late fee. First time late fee. I like it. The Pearson. Thanks for joining. First timer. Hell yeah. We love a newbie.
Hell yeah.
Newbies forever.
Welcome. All right. Is that
Right.
all about? Actually, there was a couple of chats that we might as well. I started earlier because they were
go for it.
our earlier chats. I agree with Frosty. Takata Ferris is a very good person and says very good things. Because Frosty just said that he's good at talking reasonably about TPM's points. Frosty doesn't agree with his points, but that's fine. Frosty has his own opinions.
Frosty's allowed to have their opinions.
And yes, the conference did open up today, and apparently it's being targeted tomorrow by the TPU, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Did not know that one. Also, apparently New Zealand's net wealth has fallen for the first time since 2009. So, good job. Good job to get us back on track, I guess.
Cool.
And Paula Marie McKenzie was saying, not sure exactly what's planned, but she pointed out that, yes, obviously the next Waitangi Day will be our new Queen's first Waitangi as our sitting monarch. So it will be very interesting to see, especially since, I believe the boys will be at Waitangi next year. So
yeah,
that's going to be exciting. But anyway, let's move on to our next story, which is from today. From this week, we have our first ever openly non-binary MP in Parliament. And I watched this Q&A with Jack Tame, and it was just a really good little corridor to get to know Benjamin and kind of hear from them. And there was a couple of really good points that I just really quickly wanted to show everyone that I just thought would be good to...
Existing as I am feels like it's forced me to be political. My identity is intersectional. I'm queer, takatapui. I'm Māori, Pākehā. I live with a disability. But on the other hand, I'm also incredibly privileged, and that has forced me to be politicised.
Benjamin Doyle is also non-binary.
Yeah, I'm the first openly non-binary MP.
This is quite a buttoned-down environment here in Parliament. How do you deal with that, and how have people responded to you?
This institution is very old-fashioned and has some inherited beliefs and rules that don't fit the context of a modern society. While it may seem like I'm some outlier in how I express myself here, actually, if you look around, there are a lot of people here who in small ways express who they are and challenge those old-fashioned kind of colonial norms, those patriarchal norms.
And so, a really strong kind of talking points out the gate in this Q&A, which I thought was really cool. I think they touched on just really good points. It is difficult when you live in a certain intersectionalities. Sometimes being political isn't exactly a choice. And I don't think people always realize that, and it can be good to kind of remind ourselves of that. And obviously just seeing someone who's so well-spoken, able to succinctly put across such complicated, issues, I'm just like so impressed.
Mm.
And
How old are they again?
Oh my gosh, I actually don't know how old they currently are.
I just said it. I mean, it doesn't matter, but they look.
I know they're quite young because I believe that they ran for Hamilton at the age of 18.
Wow, jeez. I love seeing so many young people getting into politics. And I say young people because they're younger than I am.
Oh yes. So
I'm no longer a young
they're
person.
a couple of years older than myself. So yes.
Oh,
they're
okay. So they're
millennial.
Good on them.
But I mean, there was also one last little point that I just think everybody should have a quick listen to.
Like that.
But in our film library, we found no evidence of such flourishes.
I have had people, supportive and comment on not just the way I dress, but the energy and the beliefs and the identity I bring here. And, that's really encouraging because we want a diverse representation in this place. This whare is meant to represent Aotearoa, not just one type of person. So my community needs to see themselves here, and I'm just one expression of that.
And I think that was just a really beautiful point that they and I think that's what I really loved about, seeing this is just, it's great to see someone who's coming in, who's able to just bring in some extra, perspectives, different lived experience, different understandings of the world. And it seems like they're going to do really good things. They've already been getting quite deep into the mahi from what I've heard. So,
Good on them.
yeah.
Very, very
lovely.
cool. So that was one of the, one of our missed headlines for the week.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few things happening this week. I mean, we
The
obviously...
only other ones, you've got two there, but
Yeah.
sorry, you
will
you
get
go.
rid of that
Mine
one.
are not
I'm gonna get rid
important.
of this. I'm going to get rid of that one. Oh, sorry, that was your
Yeah.
one as well.
No,
I'm getting rid of my one. I get
Your
rid of
one's
my
not
one.
important. Get rid of your news. It's not important. It really
Nah,
isn't.
to be fair, that one wasn't. But no, I mean, we have had the Candace Owens visa thing has been mentioned. Obviously, I had someone tag me today in that story. I mean, to be honest, I'm personally quite glad to see that she's not coming because I just think it's a waste of oxygen, personally. But I think the main thing
We got
that
enough
really...
of Seymour's rhetoric. We don't need
Yeah,
more
and that's
fuel
the
to the
thing
fire.
is, it feels like, I'll give credit to the point that, by banning her from the country, that is going to give her some kind of credit to martyrdom, that she's this being oppressed, being silenced, all of that. But I think the thing for me is it's really easy for people who aren't negatively impacted by people like her who spread rhetoric that actually does create harm in communities. I think it's very easy for people that don't experience that to kind of just go, oh, who cares? Let her in. But I was actually looking up and I found it quite interesting. I found this article talking about, what right-wing media grifters use. And, their points were basically be part of the elite, but pretend that you speak for the people. Pretend that you are a rebel, crusade against cancel culture. Find the voiceless and the generally voiceless and oppressed minority and then turn it into a threat and then support it with a nefarious elite. Use pseudo-democratic liberal tropes. Use contradictions. They're your friend. Like, defend harmful oppression. Like, you're not defending harmful oppression, you're defending your rights, Does it sound like some Seymours that we know? Count on laziness, cowardice, and complicity of the mainstream. Deny power of discourse.
This is so unempathetic. People just, it just screams, I don't give a shit about anyone but my interests. My financial gains, and people are objects to exploit. There's just no humanity in it. I just don't know how you can live like that, eh?
People are resources to feed into capitalism.
Yeah. We have documentaries about true crime documentaries about psychopaths and, serial killers and all sort of shit. This is the same level of empathy for a human being en masse. But you have power. It's literally killing through the hands of other people. It's disgusting.
I mean, Black Mirror has been trying to do shit to kind of
Black
talk about
Mirror
these things.
Was but it was so absurd, and it was the extreme of the extreme. But then it started to come true.
Exactly. The world is that fucking absurd.
It was no longer a Black Mirror. It was just a mirror. It's I couldn't watch it because I can't do this. It's too much. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. What other news did we have?
Oh, too good. All right, let's go to a few of these super chats before they disappear. Kahungung? No, ngunu? Is that correct?
Yeah, Kahungunu.
Kahungunu. Thank you. Peeps Networks of Whanaosu and friends overseas support and submit on TPB, the Treaty Bill.
Yes, the Treaty Bill. Treaty Principles
100%.
Bill. So,
Get into that 6th or 7th of January. Ticking down. Matthew. Oh, and also thanks for your super chat. Thank you. Who else we got? We got Matthew Dunner of $10. Thank you for your super chat. Support independent media and keep your communities activated, folks. Love for the love. No, thank you. Thanks for joining in. Lurchify, I believe. Yeah. Lurchify. It's awesome. One, to see Benjamin come in as an MP. Parliament needs to be representative for and representative of society, 100%.
Absolutely.
Needs to be a better reflection of the community. Thanks for your super chat. And lastly, we've got the POM. Sorry, guys, really late fee. How's your foo-foo valve magenta?
I mean, the foo-foo valve's been blowing off already, so we're only 38 minutes in. Fuck.
Oh, jeez.
No foo-foos. We're out of foo. There's a foo-foo shortage this week, I think. Foo-foo valves are out of supply.
Yeah. No more to help out. Alrighty. Have you got any memes for us? I feel like we need a bit of a meme break.
We need a bit of memes. All right.
I think we need some memes to break.
All right. I mean, all right. Let's just pick one of the few. We got a few going over here. I don't know which one this is. Let's go. Drag me onto screen. We have a good old Simpsons meme. Classic Simpsons meme. Capitalist, nobody wants to work anymore. workers. Nobody wants to be exploited anymore. And I mean, ain't that the fucking truth?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
What else have we got?
I think it's more of a, I guess it is kind of an exploitation thing, but it's more so that people just don't want to like spend their lives and their livelihood, or just their lives, like working for nothing that actually gets them anywhere in life. Like if you can't afford a house after working 40 hours a week, or you can't afford to save, or you can't afford basic bills, you can't afford a good home to live in. Like
I
what's
mean,
the point? Like, of
we've
course
been-
you would become sort of just distant.
Well, I mean,
I
like
wouldn't say
we've
disassociated,
basically
but separate.
we've basically been convinced by capitalism that instead of thriving, we can just survive. And that's just okay. Like we have rhetorics like, oh, students should just be super poor and hungry or have to work a crazy amount of hours. Like we have all these rules that we've been told how we should, have a metric and standard for what makes a person, worthy to live in society. When actually we're worthy to live because we're just alive. Anyway, here's a meme about Luxon. Fufu valves are gone, guys. But yes, Luxon, I take no responsibility for anything. I blame the past and future on Labour. And yeah, succinct, simple, to the point. And what else do we have? Oh, this one's a little sad, but I mean, unfortunately, that'd just kind of be how it is at the moment. We have the good old public servants, nationals, Labour. Why did you do this?
I haven't seen that
With
for
the
ages.
meme of someone being shot, national shooting public servants, and blaming Labour because they would. They would.
Sometimes memes are so nuanced that they probably would go over most people. Well, not most people. They'd go over a few people's heads, sadly.
Actually, are we going into your story next? Because if we do, I have a meme for that. So we can lead into it if your story is next.
Yeah.
I don't know.
can
Are we?
Do you want to? Because then we can bring the positive news back.
All right. I
that's
mean,
the
I wasn't
way.
sure what
feel
order we're going in.
We're whatever the road takes us, wherever it goes.
We're just
Yellow brick road.
All right. Well, let's go into.
Are you introducing it with a meme?
Well, I guess we are. I mean, I can't introduce it. It was your rabbit hole, so I'm just here to provide the meme.
Thank you. Thank you.
But this is the meme. I'm so sorry. I did not see who posted this in the Discord, but we have good old Winnie Ping as Grandpa Simpson. We've got a good old Casey Costello as Selma Bouvier, not Selma Hayek. And we've got good old Matua Shane as Mia Quimby, all from The Simpsons. And I thought that was beautiful. I mean, they've done a really good job of matching energies.
Oh yeah, wow. We need more of that in life. Because the chat Discord was discussing how to line up the McDonald's characters with politicians, which was a fascinating. No, it was DC. It was DC villains. The DC universe were trying to fit all of the politicians into the DC universe. That was a fascinating conversation about who was which character. So if you want to join the Discord, do so you can join in on that conversation.
Yeah, we did Shrek actually one night.
Oh, okay. Well, the next one's Simpsons characters, I feel like.
Anyway, let's go into the Emily rabbit hole.
Okay, so this story was sent to me by my partner of all people. He's like, "Oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" And it kind of led me down a bit of a rabbit hole. So, official concerns about haste in death, right? Death of evidence in government's first year. Analysis of official advice to ministers shows that fast, ambitious lawmaking comes at a cost. So this was released, and I was having a read through it. Very good. This is a full-on analysis. Like, it's a proper deep dive with graphs, historical, things that happened the last year. Highly recommend you go and have a look at it. But kind of led me down a bit of a hole. And because I wanted to talk about it, I wanted to at least like not just be like, oh, this is what the article said, but actually figure out what some of this stuff says and maybe help some other people understand it if they're not like got 3 or 4 hours to research this stuff.
I mean, that would be nice.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
You did the research so that we don't have to.
Well, okay, I did some top level research on top of someone else's deep dive research. So essentially this is going through a list of stuff, or a list of fast track bills that were put through. It's the same sort of thing, saying that the 100-day plan was ambitious. The government has consistently ignored advice and kind of, because the fast track bills, didn't do their correct consultation. And so I'm going to break this down a little bit. So in this article, at some point, it leads back to who is it? Where are you? Where are you? Is it? Oh, where are you? Judith Collins? Oh
no, not Judith.
she's disappeared. It was a story that Judith Collins put out this letter to government officials to say, hey, maybe like hold back on all of these fast track bills. It's a bit too much, guys. Yeah, she's doing her job at least, which I mean, who would have thought that Judith Collins might save democracy?
Her husband is like Samoan, so
I will never forget that. Sorry, Judith. So Judith Collins' role is the Attorney General Minister for the Parliamentary Council Office, the PCO, in the Legislation Design Advisory Committee, LDAC. I don't know what those are. So I was like, well, if I'm going to say what she's the minister of, I need to explain what she's the minister of. I'm explaining the rabbit hole I went down. Okay, guys, this is my thought process. So I'm like, okay, so what's the role of the PCO? What do they actually do? Objectives and functions. Under the Legislation Act 2019, the objective of the PCO is to promote high-quality legislation that is easy to find, use, and understand, and, to that end, to exercise stewardship of New Zealand's legislation as a whole. The functions of the PCO are to draft, publish, and consolidate legislation, revise acts in accordance with the current revision program, examine local and private bills and members' bills that the Attorney General directs to be examined, and report to the Attorney General on their effect. Advise departments and agencies on the drafting of secondary legislation not drafted by the PCO, guide support and review practices relating to the design, drafting, and publication of legislation. So, making sure legislations, promote high-quality legislation that's easy to find, use, and understand. And then she's also head of the LDAC. And in this letter here, there is... actually, what is the L? Okay, this is a whole thing, but
that is a whole thing right there. That looks like a lot of things.
This is
148 to be exact. I just saw how many pages you had.
So in this letter here, because I was reading through it and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. It's basically just like a, hey, FYI, maybe kind of just keep an eye on what you're doing. Make sure you're doing due diligence. And then this is kind of also like a, this is how government works. Like, it's really babied down. Helpful, easy to use information is also provided by the PCO's Beehive diagram attached and its interactive step-by-step guide on turning policy into law. This is sent to the Prime Minister. Literally, the Prime Minister, I mean, it's kind of, formalities, but come on. You'd think that politicians would know this. And then it says the LDAC's legislation guidelines, particularly Chapter 1. Have a read of that, which is this good legislative design. This is this feels like it's written for children a little bit. Good design matters. Ensuring that legislation is well designed is important for three key reasons. And it's easy to get it wrong. A common goal and set of principles is critical.
So what you're telling me...
This is easy.
they've got a dummies guide to do it, and they're still fucking it up.
This is the legislation guidelines. This is like policy 101. And I was like, hang on a second. This letter here, which is kind of like, hey, maybe like don't overstep your boundaries and like follow due process, literally says helpful, easy to use information is also provided by, and then like particularly chapter 1. Anyway, so the meat and potatoes of this letter is, I'll just read this to you because this kind of sums it up. One of the coalition government's priorities for this term is improving the quality of government regulation. This includes a commitment to ensuring that regulatory decisions are based on principles of good lawmaking and decisions are based on sound public policy principles, including problem definition, rigorous cost-benefit analysis, and economic efficiency, and on data and evidence. Pretty much sums it up.
But this government doesn't do data and evidence, so like
No. And then I guess what this is basically saying is government legislation is primarily drafted by the PCO. Both the PCO and the LDAC, in their briefings to me as incoming minister, have provided me with information on the key elements of ensuring that government legislation is effective and upholds the rule of law. They have also identified a number of things that hinder its delivery and result in poor quality outcomes. Delivering the legislation for the 100-day plan has necessitated key processes being truncated or skipped, which kind of comes back to this whole thing, this deep dive analysis that's come out here, where they have pushed things through way too fast, haven't had the correct consultation process, and we don't know what the outcomes will be from that. And then she's asked the PCO to monitor the extent of requests to draft without sufficiently developed policy or ahead of cabinet policy approvals, situations where bills are being introduced before they are complete, and overuse of urgency or shortened select committee periods. More generally, I've asked PCO and LDAC to escalate matters to me where they have significant concerns that poor process will result in poor legislative outcomes for the government. So that's interesting. So that came out a little while ago. And that's how I kind of got down this little rabbit hole. In this article here, there is a bunch of examples of where the government has kind of skipped due process. This is a little graph I don't 100% understand, but if you read through it, you will get the idea of it. It's basically where the... You know, I'm not going to go into it. It's graphs. I can't do math right now. It's too late.
look at this.
Have a look at the full article. However, so this goes through. However, the analysis showed officials raised a variety of constraints relating to evidence or lack thereof across different policy areas. Then it goes through a bunch of examples of things that were pushed through in the 100-day plan or in the last year where the bills or legislations that were drafted did not meet the standards where they should have been, or did not meet the full consultation process to have the evidence to ensure that the policy was good lawmaking, essentially. But I was reading through it and I was like, actually, there's one that's missing. And it came back onto my radar because this was posted on Reddit, which is the Official Information Act I guess request returned about Casey Costello's tobacco research evidence that informed why she made these changes to the legislation, which has its own little history, if you know, where she refused to provide the evidence. It did come out. It was left on her desk. There was a lot of weird conspiracy stuff of like, was this, well, not even conspiracy stuff. She's she's got ties to tobacco, big tobacco. It was a whole thing. It's honestly, if you know, you know. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. But this came out, which was, I acknowledge your Official Information Act request, where you requested details of the manner of how these documents were found. This is relating to the research and evidence to back up why she made the legislative changes to Smokefree 2025. the manner of how these documents were found, the search engine, academic research, the time period over which the provided documents were collated, if search terms were used, if an external research or literature review service was used, the details of the service and what scope they were given for this review. I can advise that the external research or literature review service was not used. As such, this part of your request is refused under Section 18 because the information requested does not exist. Regarding how the documents were identified, I can advise that the Gale and EBSCO host databases were used, fair, academic, from what I understand, as well as the Google search engine. My office does not hold...
Google Scholar, admin, surely.
Well, yeah, admittedly, yes. My office does not hold a comprehensive list of search terms used, but I can advise that the following were used. Heated tobacco products, HTP. Heated tobacco products and harm reduction. Tobacco and harm reduction, nicotine and harm reduction, HTP and smoking cessation, heated tobacco products and smoking cessation and harm reduction, HTP and health, heated tobacco products and health. See a common
Yeah, I just finished
product?
uni. That's pretty much every university student's fucking like library search. Fucking oh my god!
But it's like
I bet you she didn't
it's
even
a lot
click
of
peer reviewed either.
It's
I wonder
very,
if she did.
It feels very narrow in scope, if I'm honest. I don't know if this. I'm not in this, but this does feel a little bit narrow in scope. Is it not?
I mean, fucking.
So that was fun. So that opened another rabbit hole where I was like, okay, so that's not great. That's really not great at all. So I went for another deep dive and I was like, okay, so what changes did she make to the legislation? And I found myself at the regulatory impact statement, Smokefree Aotearoa Action Plan 2025.
It always comes back to ciggies with that lady.
So this is the Ministry of Health regulatory impact statement. This is based, so what I understand, and I'm giving you probably know this actually better than I do. I'm probably teaching you something that you could explain better to me. This is essentially the sort of research or it's like a collation of all the research and understanding in order to inform the policy making. This one was the one drafted by the Minister of Health at the time, which was Aisha Verrill. And although when I looked on the website, this did say this has been updated, but I can't see what exactly has been updated. So as far as I understand, it's pretty much the same. Page 28. This is a fascinating thing, as I learned. Page 28 here. So this is great. Throughout the document, there's these little tables, which based on the evidence and research further up in the report, is this what is proposed in terms of what lawmakers want to do or politicians want to do? Is this going to work? And they even give you this little plus little thing. So there's a few of them for each of the options, right? However, this kind of sums it up. So you've got option A, or 1A, mandate low nicotine cigarettes. Option 1C, regulatory power to regulate product increase purchase age to receive a smoke-free generation, and introduce a regulated market model. And then it's got things like, well, does option 1 reduce inequality? Does option 1 decrease initiation, especially for young people? Does option 1 increase likelihood of quitting? Does option 1 ease and cost? Is it easy to ease of implementation and cost? So that's kind of each option is weighed up against those things, and then each one is given a rating, and then there's also the status quo as well, which is I think is just there for good measure. Status quo, zeros across the board. It's not going to make a difference to our current trajectory, or at least what the outcomes they want to see. So the best thing is at the bottom, they give you a little overall assessment. So the overall assessment of option 1, mandating low nicotine cigarettes, they found, while technically challenging and untested in other jurisdiction, this option is the most likely to achieve the 2025 goal when implemented in conjunction with complementary measures. Pretty strong. And it's got a plus, which means it is
good.
There's a table. It basically means that it's very positive. And it's like negative, negative, negative. You get the idea. Option 2, which was proposed, was regulatory power to regulate product design. And the overall assessment was reduces appeal, particularly to the youth, future-proofs changes, and prevents tobacco industry undermining the intentions of the action plan. Great. Option 2C, which was increase purchase age to achieve a smoke-free generation. They said addresses the various modes of supply for youth in that it increases purchase age to beyond when most people start and will reduce social supply. May also denormalize smoking sufficiently to increase quit attempts among those who already smoke.
Which
it was a bit of a word salad, but hopefully someone understood that. Sometimes I read and I'm actually not listening, but big words. And then option 3 is introduce a regulated market model. And then they said, while complex and costly to implement, gives most control over overall reduction in numbers, as well as proximity and density, and ensuring safe supply for those who continue to smoke while being least disruptive to the market, considering the policy intent. Pluses across the board. And this is the original action plan. And as far as I believe, a lot of this went into the legislation, into the bill, which got passed through law. I was like, this is all fantastic. This is great. So what's Casey Costello? Because I thought it was mostly about money. It was about, reducing some of the taxes on stuff. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do, Costello? And then fun little Costello. This gets really fun. So there is a on the New Zealand Parliament thing, they do a blow by what people have said, which is great. So in her statement, she gives, she's introducing the bill, and she says the bill removes the previous government's policies in 3 areas, primarily to cut by 90% the number of retailers that could sell smoked tobacco products, which was to happen later this year, introduce a low nicotine limit, which was to happen next year, so they were getting rid of this, and a policy to ban sales to all those born after the 1st January 2009. So she's saying, to be clear, none of these measures being repealed are in place currently, which is true. They're being phased in 2025, 26, and 7. Like so many of the previous government's initiatives, the smoke-free initiatives were, to be generous, intangible. We are not stopping anything that is currently helping to drive smoking rates down, and that is the government's focus. We want smoking rates to reduce. We want the harm from smoking to reduce. This government is committed to the smoke-free 2025 goal, but we are taking a different regulatory approach to reducing smoking rates and the harm from smoking. Yeah, okay, good. Good to know you're on board. So the settings we are focusing seems like they're on board. The settings we are focusing upon have been incredibly successful. The New Zealand Health Survey results released in December last year showed that 6.8% of New Zealanders are smoking daily, down from 8.6% the previous year, and down from 16.4% when the survey began in 2011 and 12. And then, if those trends continue without any additional measures, so if we keep the settings as they are now and not implement the ones that we're going to be coming through in 6 and 7 about reducing access and offering low nicotine cigarettes, if those trends continue without any additional measures, New Zealand will hit the headline smoke-free goal of less than 5% of the population smoking daily by 2025. So what she's saying is, if we just keep it as it is now, because if seeing a trend downwards, it'll be fine. It's going to continue to trend downwards. However, I believe, as far as I understand, that it will continue to go down if we continue to implement the measures which we're supposed to be, staggered in.
That was always the plan. It was always, and I mean, as someone who literally used to smoke cigarettes, it has worked. I used to be anti all of the smoke-free legislation, and now I don't smoke cigarettes. Like, wow, it fucking worked.
So this kept me going down a great little rabbit hole. So she doesn't want to implement the things in 26 and 7, essentially, or 5, 6, and 7. So what exactly is she trying to repeal? She is trying to remove the requirements for denicotization, which is like, getting rid of nicotine.
Yeah.
She wants to remove the reduction in retail outlets and the general ban. And she wants to amend vaping product requirements and taxing smoked products only. Noted that as a part of the budget, Cabinet has agreed to create a tagged contingency of $216 million operating to manage the fiscal implications of further decisions to be taken on options to change, yada, yada. Note that the funds in contingency and reflective of Joint Ministry of Health and Treasury work to estimate the revenue foregone as about 50% of tobacco excise duties. Or omitted, yeah. That makes sense, doesn't it? Noted that the fiscal implications associated with this is like, my brain's coming back to all of this now. Noted that the fiscal implications associated with this initiative reflect a 1st of July 2024 start day. So these are pretty much the big ones, right? Remove requirements for denicotization, remove the reduction in retail outlets and the general ban, and the generation ban, sorry. Amend vaping products requirements and taxing smoked products only. So that's great. Now if we just go back to the original Smokefree thing, just a little bit beyond this, we get this lovely little cost benefit analysis. Remember, this is a government that's about, helping, bring more money
aren't they
in.
like good
They
at
want to get into
filling fiscal holes and
surplus.
shit?
They want to
Yeah.
try and, be more fiscally responsible. They're taking a hit at, the healthcare system. So, you've got to try and save as much money as possible.
National
What are
good,
the
Labour bad.
What are the marginal costs and benefits of the option? So, additional costs of the preferred option compared to taking no action. Let's just look at the money side of things. The implementation of doing these things across the sector, we're looking at an estimated total of 29.5 million over about 4 years. Millions, remember, are kind of like, we're not talking too much money, but it's still reasonable.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of things here about the impact and then evidence certainty, which is great. So we're seeing mediums across the board, total monetized costs not calculated. Additional benefits from of the preferred option compared to taking no action. We've got a few unknowns, we've got a few mediums, but let's look at the financial one. New Zealand modelling shows that a combined package of low nicotine retail outlet restrictions and smoke-free generation plus media health promotion could lead to a 580,000 helis gained. So it's essentially a increase in health benefits or health. I think it's the age, like your.
Yes.
Your, I don't want to say your death
Like
age.
age
That
of-
sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So we're increasing the likelihood that people will live longer, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
Compared to the
Increasing
business
average
as usual.
lifespan, yeah.
Lifespan, that's one. And then the estimated savings in health spending would be 5.25 billion. Estimated income gain from increased productivity. Productivity, guys. Increased productivity.
Nah,
Isn't that
that's
what
work
the-
stuff,
isn't
isn't
it-
it?
Okay, so I thought that's what the government wanted.
No,
that's
They
another-
just want to talk about how much money Labour wasted because Labour bad.
So and then income gain from the increased productivity, we're looking at $5.88 billion. Then there are a few other things here, but we're looking at mediums and high impact and evidence across the board for these, which is fantastic compared to business as usual. Keep going the way we're going. So while not all impacts can be costed at this time, those that can suggest that the costs will be significantly outweighed by the benefits. As smoking rates go down, so will excise taxes. The resultant savings in health spending and income gain from increased productivity are estimated to far outstrip the reduced revenue from excise tax. Basically saying Sure, we're not getting the tax that we would have gotten from tobacco products coming into the country and being sold. However, we would be saving $5.25 billion in the health sector, which is money that can be going on to people who are higher needs, or perhaps people who won't have smoking-related illnesses won't be coming through the system as often. So it puts less strain
that
on
basically
the system.
puts it at over 10 billion.
It's at least 11.13 billion.
11.13 billion. That's that's nothing to play around with.
Yeah, versus what the cost of implementing all of these measures over 4 years was to $29.5 million for $10 billion in savings. So it's pretty crazy. There's some incredible stuff.
That's why they want more money, because there's lots of money.
And if we go back to this little one, as part of Budget 2024, Cabinet has agreed to create a tagged contingency of $216 million, operating to manage the fiscal implications of further decisions to be taken on options to change the tobacco excise applied to heated tobacco products. If they had kept with the plan that was proposed by the Labor government over 4 years, so a quarter of that $29 million, they would have saved money over continuing with this option of changing the legislation and then managing the excise applied to heated tobacco products and the changes made to this legislation. Now, this is my understanding from diving down a goddamn rabbit hole, because I wanted to understand what I was like spouting from the media, right? Because the media will tell us stuff and I will read it and I'll go, oh yeah, well, the media's done the research. Like this all makes sense, right? This story lines up with this story, which lines up with this story, which lines up with this narrative. Of course, I kind of understand what's going on. I'm generally smart, I guess, or I generally understand how the system works. Diving down into this is fascinating. Like the regulatory impact statements, right? That's what they're called, right? The regulatory, impact statements. They are a ton of research. Like, it's a lot of research that goes into this. It's a lot of really considered stuff that goes into this. The those little tables that come out of it, they take all of that research and they weigh it up. They go, well, you've got pluses here and you've got minuses here. So what's the overall benefit? Are all the things that are of concern, such as, would the policy be clear and workable for New Zealand? What is the ease and cost of implementation? Is it going to increase the likelihood of quitting? And then each of those options, each of the policies that they want to implement to legislate into policy, right? And take effect on the country, each of those options, every single of those options is then weighed against those, the result that we want to see, right? Reduces inequity, is it possible for New Zealand, that sort of stuff. So this is a really incredible, like, documentation. But to then go, nah.
All that work, all that information.
I'm just going to do some Google searching and like come up with some stuff that's going to tell me that heated tobacco products, if we just continue on that train, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to see the same results. It's changing the Smokefree 2025 legislation, which if we'd kept running probably would have hit the 5% target. But, we're already on trajectory towards the 5% target. So if we just kind of keep the settings as they are now and not implement the last 2 years or 3 years of the action plan, we'll just make it, right? 100%. Because that's what the evidence and research and all of that consultation has said will happen.
Yeah, but if it doesn't fit what they want, then fuck. What am I supposed to do? Make it up, obviously.
It's like trying to make the square fit into the circle, right?
And I mean, that's all they do, though, is that they make everything fit to their narrative. They make everything work to what suits them, and they package it up and they make it sound pretty to the people who will either vote or give the money or spend their money or whatever the fuck it is. And it's exhausting. Also, I thought this was a really funny comment from Paula during that of just, Jesus, if Collins is the handbrake for the madness, how bad is this government that we need Judas Collins?
Judas Collins.
I mean, what the
Judas.
fuck? Exactly. And then MLB Kiwi thinks that maybe Crusher Collins is just ass covering. So, I mean, who knows?
That's what when
Who
I read the
knows?
letter, I was like, I think this is more so, this is my job, and this just needs to be put into record that, my departments are saying that this is bad, so I'm going to just at least make sure that's on the record that I said it was bad and cover my ass. That's how I read it as well.
Yeah. And then
But
we've
the
got
fact that
here,
it needed to be sent out is a bit
ridiculous.
this like
But I mean,
literally the thing of like, please read chapter 1, and then reading chapter 1, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be another like law document that I'm gonna read, and I'm like, wait, this is policy making for babies.
yeah. I mean,
Like, good design includes ... like, come on.
I mean, it's great to see that they actually have like documents that are able to, put things into
Yes,
digestible
100%,
language.
yes,
But
100%.
how did you not digest it? What did you do with it? Nothing. And I mean, Secretive Squirrel Studios saying that she wants to stop downward pressure on smoking rates and to move to business as usual. And also, the Digital Nomad had a good point, is that they want the harm reduction, but they don't want to pay for the staff.
Yeah.
Like, their priorities are all twisted. I mean, they would rather prioritize the tobacco industry than healthcare, than education, than literally anything, honestly, anything that's good for people. I'm trying to think of something that they haven't attacked, and I'm kind of coming up blank. It's absolutely fucked. Also, we got a super chat here, David Thompson with the $2. M's doing backroom and frontline journalism here.
I hope that ramble made some sense to someone, because that's literally 4 hours of going, wait, what does this do? Okay, so what does this do? Okay, so where does this lead? What does this link do? Okay, what is this? Oh my god, this document's fantastic. Well, what if I compare this to what they're trying to do? And then once I started to collect all the dots, I'm like, holy shit.
Also, this
Like-
comment, it is a bit, that was more than a rabbit hole, more like an awful hole, because, yeah, that was awful to find out about.
It's just like those literal numbers of how much $10 billion in health sector savings.
Yeah.
That alone is worth keeping going with this, and how much they
Absolutely.
projected it was going to cost over 4 years to $29 million versus the $216 million for a very fiscally savvy government just to make all of this work. And they could have just kept going with what they were doing, and if they're trying to cut in other sectors, maybe keep with the one that was going to save a lot of money in the health sector.
And that's the thing is, once you
Just-
start to actually look at everything they're doing, I mean, there's a reason people have been pointing out the corruption within the current coalition. There are too many, like, conflicts of interest. There are too many, pasts that align with certain networks and asshole universities, or even fucking Luxon spending most of his life not in this country.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many different things that when you start to look at them, you go, wow, I feel like a crazy person. Because how is this real? And yeah,
I would
like,
hate to be in these departments and be like, I spent 2 years of my life collating this research and doing a 36-page, as best as I could concise it down document for someone to go, nah, I'm going to change it. I don't feel like it. You know what? I don't think these things actually work. I think heated tobacco products I Google searched it, and I looked at a paper that may have been sponsored by Philip Morris. But like, I've read a paper, so I think I want to change the whole legislation.
definitely
because
has
I
nothing
know-
to do
I
with
know
Philip
best.
Morris.
As
It's
a
definitely
minister.
just that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as a
And I
minister who was
mean-
elected by the people.
Exactly.
doing
It's
that
not
policy
like they
because
had
I want to do
academics and people who actually, I don't know, dedicate their life to focusing on these issues. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very typical of this. I mean, are we really surprised though? It's Casey Costello. She's so clearly just got her
It's
own
corrupt.
interests, like that entire coalition does. It's all self-interest
Yeah.
and capitalism focused.
One thing before I step away from this entirely, because I need to show you guys the rabbit hole. So why I kind of went down the regulatory impact statement whole thing, I was trying to find what the whole thing with Casey Costello was. I was trying to find like the bit of the articles that came before it. And then it led me down that one. And then also one of the ones I was looking at was the gang patch laws. Official advice relating to the government's gang laws, which came into effect last week, said there was no evidence to support the coalition's suppression approach due to the covert nature of criminal activity and the lack of precedent for these powers in New Zealand. Quantitative data with which to estimate the full effects has been hard to obtain, the document said. And then there's the related official document, regulatory impact statement. Now, I just want to point this out to you. This one that was done under the Labour government, commissioned by the Labour government. But let's be honest, it's not a Labour government thing. This is independent who.
Well, yeah, it's
spit
supposed
this
to
out,
just
right?
be bipartisan for people. You know, the house of our people.
Literally the PCO, so is not part of the core public service under the Public Service Act, and thus is not under the direct control of the Public Service Commissioner. However, the PCO is subject to certain provisions of the Public Service Act, including those that relate to the setting and enforcement of minimum standards of integrity and conduct. So this is what the PCO do. And as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, they are the ones who are kind of in charge of enacting these things. So they have a problem definition, they've got an executive summary, they've got limitations and constraints of analysis, and then whether or not the panel and assessment comment, did it meet the quality assurance criteria, which is what this is talking about. This is saying that a lot of the bills that went through did not meet that criteria. There were data constraints or neither or both. There were data constraints, time constraints, neither or both. And then the other one is quality assurance test. You've got the red did not meet, missing, partially met, and fully met. They did a nice little graph there. That reminds me of what that was. So just to give a quick overview, this is kind of the high level summary for all of it, right? Got some great little executive summary, limitations and constraints on analysis. And then it meets the quality assurance criteria. And then there's a bunch of things. You've got data points. Great. Let's look at Seymour's gang patch laws. The public confidence in law and order would be undermined by low compliance with the prohibition of the public display of gang insignia. Repeat or blatant defiance risks an impression that gang members can operate above the law. And there's a bunch of stuff. Then, limitations and constraints of analysis. There's a narrow scope. There's a lack of broader public consultation, and there are data limitations. 3 bullet points. 3 bullet points.
Wow.
Right. Panel assessment and comment. The analysis summarized in the regulatory impact statement partially meets the quality assurance criteria.
What?
It partially
What?
meets.
What the fuck?
It partially meets, which is not ideal. So pretty not great. Not great. If you compare the two of these, it is quite a contrast, you know.
Well,
the
I'm not
problem
surprised.
statement here.
Dr. Aisha Varel is a very accomplished person.
You've got a stat here, right? You've got a stat here. New Zealand has a goal. Regulatory intervention is required. And then you've got this. Public confidence in law and order would be undermined by low compliance with the... Like, it's just one thing. It's just one thing. And then you've got the limitations and constraints on analysis. And then you look at this one. Limitations and constraints on analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they definitely got taken some liberty. I mean, like, let's be real. It seems like the first document, A+. The second document, I don't even know if that's getting a C minus. Oh no, it might get a C minus because it technically meets some of the criteria of like the formatting.
It does. Okay, so the very last thing at the bottom of that that article as well is that it says there's a bit of a comparison between what the Labour government did versus this government, and yes, there were some things that Labour tried to put through, like the cannabis reform.
Yes, I remember
where they said. The document pointed out weak evidence based on the impacts of different forms of cannabis legislation and regulatory models in other jurisdictions, particularly in the medium to long-term evidence. Because only Uruguay, Canada, and the United States had legalized cannabis by that point, and none for more than a decade. So you can't have medium to long-term, evidence because it doesn't exist. However, they in the report in this analysis, they were saying that typically with labor-based legislation or bills, there's kind of like a long-term consultation period, or it will be like a stepped approach in order to make sure that they meet the requirements in order to go from partially met to meets or exceeds the meets the requirements for good lawmaking. However, with the other government, the current government,
those guys.
In many of the cases reviewed where a Labour policy was flagged for circumstantial data, this was offset by a longer and more targeted consultation process. The same process which, when avoided by the coalition government, tended to drop a fully met criteria to rating to partially meets. So there you go.
That is some bullshit.
That's my picture.
That's just some bullshit. Like, they always make me mad. They just...
You're welcome.
They do bullshit, and I don't like it. And I mean, okay, man, where did that comment just go? That was really funny. Oh no, I lost it. Here we go. That is shorter than my last submission, fuckers. And I mean, it's an embarrassing amount of work for something that's supposedly, the hard data that is actually going to, I don't know, help shape policy that actually gets implemented into real world life.
Yeah. The fact that you get a report that says, hey, you don't meet the requirements, or hey, this one does meet the requirements if you do all of these things, and like, yep, cool, we're going to put that into law. We're going to start the going to start the plan. We're going to see Smokefree 2025, right? And then someone just comes in and goes, nah. Like all of that research, all of that consultation, all of that hard mahi to get to the point where they did to enact good policy, good legislation, just gone. Or undermined. Just completely undermined.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it's fucked. It's like also, like here is another place that they are wasting money. Because a person was paid money to do that, all those reports, all that data, for them to just fucking ignore. So who's wasting money? Yeah. I thought that they were supposed to be fiscally responsible.
Like if they just left it, that's the thing that I don't understand. If they had just left things, if they had just left it, just because Labour did it, doesn't mean it's bad. If you just leave it,
stop it,
and instead we add on or continue to grow and progress in maybe the direction you want to go, but like this whole thing of just throw it out because Labour did it, it just does not make any sense to me.
Labour bad. And we need memes because memes.
Yeah, I need memes. Okay, I'm done.
All right, this one got sent to me while we were in the middle of that. So this was live on the air.
Oh, I love it.
This was from Frosty. So we've got old David Seymour as Mr. Burns, which is very good one,
somebody
Frosty.
Think of the children.
And yeah, that one gets... I actually can't remember the lady's name at the bottom, if I'm honest. I remember her role on the show, but I don't remember her name.
No.
So, but honestly, Although someone reckons Mr. Burns isn't racist enough, and that's probably a fair point, actually.
I don't know. How does he treat Lenny, the one and only black guy in the whole show?
I don't know. Does he even talk to him?
Or is it
He doesn't
Lenny?
treat. No, he treats all of his workers like shit. To be fair,
Is it
he doesn't
Lenny?
like
Is Lenny
anyone.
the black guy or is the other guy?
I can't remember if I'm honest, but it's either him or his
Long
friend.
time since I watched it.
Yeah, same. A long time. All right, let's move that one off, and we will find
All right.
another.
Give me the
one.
good stuff.
Yeah, we'll do a couple of memes just to kind of palate cleanse all that tobacco and heated tobacco out of our mouths. Actually, this one, speaking of Judith, I do have a Judith meme. This one actually came out of a conversation, so I just put this together from a conversation that happened in the Discord. I do not take credit, but some comparisons were made about Judith Collins and for anyone unfamiliar
Angelica?
with the Rugrats, yep, that's Angelica Pickles from All Grown Up, and
yeah.
it's an uncanny resemblance. Also, severely underrated TV show. All Grown Up was so good.
Early 2D Nickelodeon cartoons. Hell
Yes.
yeah. So good. So good.
Exactly. What else? We got a couple more memes. I think we got.
Like
Might as well go for
early,
this one
late 90s.
since
early
it's
2000s.
This was made by Aiden in the Discord. I told you we talk about a lot of references and we start making a lot of references to who is who in pop media. So yes, this is Winston Peters as Voldemort, and it's horrific and beautiful and I love it, to be honest.
So good.
But yes, let's go into some nice news because believe it or not, thankfully, there has been some nice news this week, which I'm really stoked to hear about. So, if we just pop this up right now.
He's the one getting Falcon. Okay.
So, we have Rotorua Businessman's Brovember trip puts the focus on mates and men's health. And I thought this was really cool. So basically, they decided that instead of doing Movember in the traditional way, he wanted to take a bit of a focus on also kind of addressing, men's mental health at the same time. Because, I mean, health is not just physical. And him and a bunch of mates got together and decided to go on a golfing trip because it was inspired by his former schoolmate who was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And so obviously, cancer is, and they mention it in this article, cancer is something that pretty much affects, like if you're a New Zealander, you probably know someone who's had cancer or even have a family member or loved one. Like I have many loved ones who have had cancer over my life already, and I'm sure there'll be, unfortunately, many more. But so, it was just great to see them kind of just highlighting that, we do need to talk a bit more about guys actually getting together and talking about stuff because, like, there's the whole cancer and other health, but also like globally and in New Zealand, men are 1.8 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And so it's, they're horrible stats. But at least if we know these things, then it gives us kind of something, it gives us something to focus on and something to kind of work on. And I mean, what they're doing here is awesome because it actually kind of tracks with, a lot of actual psychological research that talks about how, like there needs to be more work around, kind of teaching men how to look after themselves because there's actually a study that was done that found that adherence to masculine norms such as self-reliance has been thought to predict lower health literacy, and that research actually did find that conformity to masculine norms and depressive symptoms could be predictors of like low health literacy among men, and that they suggested that that kind of gives us an area to focus on in trying to target men in finding and developing programs that give you like help seeking behaviors and kind of teach men how to kind of, I guess, undo some of these things that make them feel like they're not able to really talk to each other. Because, you know, like I've always said, men need to hug each other more. They just need to hug each other more. Because hugging your friend is awesome. Because hugging the people you love is awesome. And it doesn't matter if they're a man friend, a woman friend, a they friend. Like, hugging people is good for us. Humans need to have human contact and hugs. And, like, if someone's not feeling good, give them a hug. If someone's just done something awesome and you want to congratulate them, give them a hug. Obviously, if they're not a hug person and you know that, like, don't encroach on their boundaries.
Yeah,
But,
don't
you
just be
know-
like, I'm hugging you.
Yeah,
Take my hugs.
Consent is still required, but you know, like, just seeing these guys going out and actually, you know, like, and also he talks about how in here, a game of golf is not just a game. You can't get better psychologists than good bros and good ears. And while you can't, like, psychologists have their place, I think what he's really trying to allude to here is that, you know, having that time with community, with your people, that actually helps fulfill you so that maybe you don't need to go to someone. You know, if we talk more about smaller things and don't let them build up, then we can have preventative measures rather than, you know, the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff that we're always talking about. That's often how men deal with their problems. I remember growing up hearing the thing of, oh, you know, men, unless it's purple and about to fall off, they won't go to the doctor.
It's true.
And unfortunately, it's true. And it's really sad because, like, I think in order for men to do better by women, they need to do better by themselves and each other as well. You know, and they need to be able to love each other and just be open and friendly and emotional with their bros, and then also with the women in their life. I'm not going to rhyme that one. But no, it was a very heartwarming story. And I just love to see men going out there and just spending time together and actually, like, you know, being emotional. Well, other than anger, because anger's an emotion. So it's just nice. And it's good to see, you know, that highlight again. Oh, we need to, you know, our guys need to, like, actually, if there's any guys in the audience right now, if you have a friend that you haven't talked to in a while and you're like, you know what, I keep forgetting, send them a message right now. Send them a message and say, hey, how you been doing? I hope you've had a good week. Because there's nothing gay about asking your friends if they're all good. Sometimes there's a bit of the guys don't want to be gay because, you know, showing emotions to my bros, that's gay. But no, it's not gay. And I mean, yeah, it's just a beautiful story. Some friends getting together and raising awareness and also raising money as well, because obviously Movember is nearly over.
Oh, thank God. Jonathan's had the worst and ugliest freaking mo that I've had to put up with. And then, like, it's fine because it was kind of like, it was this, and then it was like, he usually has a bit of a beard. So it kind of made up for it, and it was a bit like, it was just a little extra here, but then for the last 2 days, because it's, you know, end of the month, he, in order to be like, this is how much I've grown, he shaved everything else really cleanly, and he doesn't look great clean shaven. I'll show you a picture of what he looked like, and I'll find it, and then you can, in the meantime,
No, I
show
get
what
it,
you're going to show.
I mean, moustaches. I mean, to be fair, the only thing I hate about moustaches is when they start growing back. That prickly stage, go away from me.
Ugh. Not
No,
nice.
thank you. Did you want me to pop up the next story, or do you have
Yeah,
your...
you go for it.
All right.
No,
We'll go into our next
you're good.
story, which is... I actually only just found this one today, and it was very sweet. And an anonymous donor has gone ahead and bought a bunch of Tiriti handbooks for every high school in New Zealand.
That's cool.
So, yeah, basically, an anonymous donor went to a presentation and book signing by the author of this book. And she says here, they say here, I have empathy for my own generation who didn't get to learn our history, and anyone else who just doesn't know the basic facts that I've been lucky enough to learn over the course of my career as a lawyer. You don't have to get the 20-year education like I did. You don't have to be an academic to understand Tiriti or the principles. And so, yeah, it's really awesome that someone's gone through and been, decided to be a buffer and help teach people and kind of, make sure that this also stays in our schools. And actually there is, I will just quickly change my screen because there is a link of not only where you can buy things, but they actually have a couple of things available on the website that people might be interested to just have a nosy at. So they've got a submissions template for anyone who's interested in writing a submission. And then we also have the Tiriti Handbook. We have a different kind of iwi, which was another book. And there's also workshops available. So I'll chuck that link into the comments in a min. But yeah, just really awesome to see someone going, you know what? This is a great resource. This was really helpful and made it really digestible and understandable. And I want to make sure that people have access to this. Like, I just think that's really freaking cool.
That's pretty cool. Just to throw in this. What do you look like?
Oh, my Lanta. The mustache. Yeah.
That's what I had to deal with at least the
No.
last week.
No.
Yeah. No one else for that. No one else for that. So I'm really glad it's almost
so I won't have to see it when I turn up next week. Thank you.
No, thank God. Well,
I
hopefully
might
have a little bit
laugh.
of
I don't
hair.
want to laugh at his face. I have to stay at his house. Like, that's rude. You know what I'm saying?
I laugh at his face every day, so you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, you're allowed
Right,
to, though.
I know I am. Super chat, Kiwi ZD. On a positive note, I would love BHN to highlight a new upcoming Māori lore game being developed called Guardian Maya. An adventure
yes, I know about
spanning
that.
NZ looks incredible. The trailer is beautiful. Oh,
Yes.
thanks for letting us know.
No, I've been
And thanks for your
following
super chat.
Guardian Maya for a while, and it is
Very cool.
beautiful.
I wonder if it's the one I'm thinking of. I think I found. I know. of
If you've
one,
seen
but it
models
might
of
not
like a
be.
Maori woman or like a running like moa bird,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yes.
Guardian. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, that's cool. And then Mr. Arvid's testicular cancer, but insensitive to go hit balls.
I didn't think about that.
I'm sure
funny.
it's symbolic. I'm sure they thought about it. But thanks, Mr. Arvid's, for $5.
That's funny.
That is funny. All right, we are hitting an hour 45. But thanks for joining us on a Friday night. That's much appreciated.
Oh yes, actually, we've got a meme of the week. I didn't get to the meme of the week.
Ooh.
I can skip a couple of the other memes, but I'll
throw us the memes to.
We'll do a quick memes,
Send
and then
us.
we've got our. Or do we want the submissions first? Do we want to do boring stuff first?
Quick submissions. Go for it.
The only real new submission that is updated from last week is the mental health bill submission.
Oh,
I believe
yes.
Kiwi Skirt has posted a link and may post again. There is a link to an Instagram post. I recommend everyone. You don't have to have the Instagram app on your phone. If you go onto PC, you should just be able to open it and view it. They have a really great guide explaining the mental health, how to make submissions on the bill. Highly recommend going there and having a look. And in terms of general community news, if anyone is in Tauranga, you have a drag event coming up soon, a drag brunch on the 12th of December that you can go to on the Strand. Tickets are at Eventbrite and they're only $10, which is a steal. And I'll also... Do I have the image up? Yes, I do. The other community notice that we had to share is... let me just pop my things up here. Is if you are fat and Māori and identify as man, my friend who's a researcher does amazing kaupapa Māori research and a lot of research around fatness, is looking for more Māori men to interview as part of her current research. So if anyone out there is interested in participating in this, please get in touch with her. You can email her at Gillon@auckland.ac.nz. Yeah, just wanted to plug her research. She's actually just completed some amazing research, so I actually should probably highlight that at some point too. But that's most of it for the community stuff, and then we'll go into our memes for the end of the night. We have... Okay, we'll give you this one. This one's just like a silly meme. So this is a
We
two-parter.
prioritize the memes on this show, guys. Hope you don't
Right,
mind.
two-parter from Cindy with a Sign Instagram page. We're currently at that part where the Kens are trying to take over Barbie Land, which is
Too good.
very true. And then the second part to that meme is coming very quickly. I hate how many buttons I have to click. There we go. The signs were literally right there, and it's a picture of someone who had graffitied one of the ACT posters and turned them into Ken. So yeah, that's for all the
a lot of
audio
work.
listeners. Yeah, it's
Did they take that home and bring it back? Because
honestly, surely they did. Because
yeah, they're not just sitting on the edge of the road, just being like, no, no, no,
or
no.
maybe they are just that good. I don't know. Like, I mean,
It's good luck doing that without them noticing. They took it and brought it back.
Absolutely. But then for our meme of the week, which was made by community member Rogers, because Rogers is just seems to be on a roll with the memes. We've got a fake news article. This is spicy. Seymour proposes N-word principles bill. It's time New Zealand had a say. Seymour says it's time to put to bed the unwritten rule that white people cannot use the N-word, saying the current situation is undemocratic, having not been enshrined in law. It's a discussion we need to have as a nation, and it's time New Zealand had a say. We have a small group who clearly has more rights than others in this case. I simply want equality for all Kiwis. And that's about as ridiculous as his bill basically is.
Oh my god, why?
Yeah.
Why is this the reality that we live? That is not too far from the truth.
This is the worst timeline, and if we go off community rules, I blame D&D players. We roll too many dice, and we know what happens. We know what happens.
All right, let's do the highlight reel, and then we're done for the night, guys. It's been a great Friday show, though. It's been good fun. Thanks for letting me rant about my whatever.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for inviting us into your awful hole.
My awful, yes. I'll prepare another awful hole for next week. How's that?
I would prefer a rabbit one, actually. I would prefer something a little nicer, a little less terrifying.
Surely some of the controversy I can throw my head into. All right, let's do this. Sorry if it's a bit loud. We'll mute ourselves in the meantime.
Kia ora, Chewy! Kia ora, Pat. Right, the Podcast Awards, if you haven't, do it. I told you to. It's the last hours to vote for us in the New Zealand Podcast Awards. I told my mum we would get it again.
Kia ora, Chewy. How are you, sir?
I'm a tired wee sausage. It is hard on the old energy levels just carrying all of these awards around all day. Podcast Awards winners page, of which we feature twice.
Did we feature on that? And I phoned Bomber and I went, how fucking dare you win a gold?
A lazy one night a week.
Damien Grant.
Not Damien Grant. We're not friends.
This is great broadcasting.
I know. This
He's
is black
adorable.
and white times, and he still looks like he's 40. This is probably taken on the first camera. Overall, their scorecard is fucking abysmal.
They should be hiring us as consultant.
More effective as an advisor to the National Party, personally, but the Avengers of Woke Man Pat and his sidekick, destroy it from the within. I thought it was www.eatshitandiesalty@gmail.com.
He does business. I do business.
Big business boy. Big business.
Boy. Big business boy.
I'm wearing a t-shirt of myself. This is the level of cringe that I have never obtained before. I'm the big tough man, and I am telling people how it's going to be because I am so fucking tough. Who knew that you were going to interact with the king of debating?
I'm going to do the weave. This is the weave. So I've been licking the back of my teeth all afternoon. Ha! Chewy, more stuff's happened.
Will go on the platform.
So I know you guys don't want to hear from the bubbling pancake batter.
No, go on.
As it,
What? What, Sean?
you're a bit scarier when you're reserved, actually.
No, that's when you have to worry. In fact, he's wearing a Trump hat. This is absolutely white supremacist shit.
Yep. Yeah, I
God
know.
damn. He was so close to calling him an uppity N-word. Oh.
But, oh, look at Chewy. Shirt's coming off. Holy mackerel. Should be happy.
Nobody had free speech or any form of democracy until the Greeks conjured it out of the rocks. This fucking guy. Thank you, Sean. Your support is, as always, valued.
So unless there's anything for you to tangent on or read out right now, Chewy, I'm going to tangent to that.
No, thought's empty.
Chewy blowing a foo-foo.
People are asking for underwear.
Blowing a foo-foo. How do you feel about that?
You can get
Brian-
foo-foo valves installed in the private sector, though, let me assure you.
So John Toogood's joining us on Thursday night.
But last time I saw John Toogood, I embarrassed myself so hard.
Chewy told us a story last night about how he embarrassed himself.
No, I didn't.
And that shot was amazing. Yeah, I saw Corliss in there. Something. Oh, look at those nipples. Oh, hey, oh, look at those. Look at those nipples.
It's the community that is the real prize.
Yeah.
There was a small mistake in there, but no one will
Oh my
notice.
god. I was not prepared for that like weird ASMR level of like, ooh, the nipples. Yeah. That was visceral to all of our, yeah, I was gonna say to all of our audio listeners. To make that worth it to listen to, I do recommend coming to the YouTube video and watching that, because out of context that was just probably yuck.
Yeah, that was
Also, just so people are aware, the clips are coming on their way. I believe it's a logistics thing that we're currently sussing out, so that
we're working on it. Limited time.
Yeah. Logistics is logisticking. So yeah.
We're
worry,
like
people.
Labour. We're just going to take our time and consider all the resources and research and cost analysis. So
Except we'll
just
actually
jumping
listen
into
to
it.
data. Don't make them think we'd be like that. It's not funny.
No, that's what I'm saying. We'll be like Labour, not national.
Yeah. There was a couple of funny comments. We got one more super chat from the POM88 saying, I love you guys. Have a great weekend, peeps. We love you too. You have a great weekend. Be good. Don't die and all that.
Typical, just,
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Also, D&D players have done a lot wrong, so they didn't do nothing. That's technically a lie. I say this as one. Also, terrifying. I might want to look into this. Apparently, Musk wants to buy Hasbro so he can own D&D. I mean, he had Twitter. Stay the fuck away. It's already bad enough that Hasbro has been ruining it, but that's like a different podcast. I also liked this comment from Brother Monk, and we are only halfway through this reality. Vote better next time.
Oh dear.
Rip.
Oh, we're definitely hitting 2 hours, guys, but thank you for watching. We've pretty much kept on the same viewership the whole time, so thanks for joining us this entire time. Obviously, something in here was of value to you, which we always appreciate. Anything to add, Magenta, before we roll the credits? Or you?
I mean, this is a fair point. Hasbro does kind of deserve to go the way of Twitter, so like maybe it's okay. But no, I mean, I think the main thing is just check in on your friends, actually talk to each other. If you don't have a good relationship with people and you want to start talking to them more, just do it. And if they don't talk to you, talk to someone else. Someone will reply at some point. Just do something positive for yourself.
Agreed. Nice message. Right, roll the credits.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy,
thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this Friday night show. I hope it hasn't been too much, I don't know, reality-breaking reality.
Meh.
Yeah. It is what it is. Magenta?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been a long week, but I'm looking forward to just chilling and maybe playing some video games.
Sounds good.
So, keep cool till after school, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you next Friday and catch Pat and Chewy on Monday. And don't forget to get BHN merch.
Oh,
Get
and
BHN
next
merch.
Friday, we're going to be in person. Next
We
Friday.
will.
It's not going to be two people and two screens. Yeah, exciting.
So we'll see you together next Friday. Bye, guys.
Bye.